Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Green Wave TV, alternative media television. This is my movie review of Django, Unchained, the new Quentin Tarantino film. Now, the first thing you need to know about this film is Django. What's that? What kind of name is that? Well, what you need to know about it is the D is silent. You'll know what I mean if you've watched the film or you go watch the film. Django, the D is silent, played by a lead character and protagonist, Jamie Foxx, who plays a beaten up, haggard slave who's been beaten up by and beaten down by the white man. And he finds his vengeance and finds justice through a bloody, murderous gun rampage where he goes and literally blows the heads off of and bodies off of and body parts off of people like, well, I'm not going to give that away yet, but a lot of people in the film. Now, did I like this film? What did I think of it? Well, I think it was a good movie. A lot of people will say, well, Christopher, how is it just a good movie? It should be a great movie. Well, the reason I don't call it great is because I hold Quentin Tarantino up on a pedestal. I think that he is a brilliant and one of the best directors, at least in the top 5, in my opinion, of all time, at least of our generation. Now, a lot of you will be turned off by this film. A lot of you are probably turned off by his films in general. Pulp Fiction, Machete, these bloody, gory films that drop the N-word, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, drops the N-word more than 100 times. In this film, based on my estimation, Spike Lee made a comment about it, said he actually thinks that there's something wrong with Quentin Tarantino, and he won't go see the film because he said it would be a disservice to his racial heritage. That's a paraphrase. Here's the direct quote. Now, Django follows Jamie Foxx, who plays a beaten-up slave who finds his freedom, and he meets the guy from Inglourious Basterds that happens to be a German. Here's his name. This guy. You remember this guy? Brad Pitt carved a really big swastika in his head in Inglourious Basterds, pretty much in the last scene of the movie. That was a great movie. In fact, Inglourious Basterds, in my opinion, was better than this movie. But this is a good movie. It is a very good movie, and the reason for that, and the reason Quentin Tarantino is a genius, is because the dumbass, regular Joe Blow sheeple can go to this film and say, ooh, ah, look at the blood, look at the guts, look at the N-word being dropped 100 times. And they love it. They love it. They love seeing people's heads get decapitated, blow up, blow off. They love the gore. They love the violence. They love the sex. I mean, that is Hollywood. And I couldn't help but think the whole time, you know, now that President Barack Obama, and the agenda has always been to ban guns in this country and attack the Second Amendment, it's interesting how the Democrats and the administration have not even addressed Hollywood. They haven't even addressed Hollywood violence. And you can't watch this film as a takeaway. You can't watch this film without thinking, my God, if the Democrats are going after guns, then how could they not address this? How could they not address a film which really goes on a huge murder rampage for the entire 3 hours? It's a 3-hour film flick. And what's interesting about this is the German, that guy, you know, the guy with the swastika in his face, it was carved in Inglourious Basterds by Mr. Brad Pitt himself, really steals the show. I think he's really the best character outside of Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx does a fantastic job as well. But what's interesting is you have so many amazing actors in this film. Samuel Jackson plays this old guy who likes to elevate himself and uses and drops the N-word for his master, Leonardo DiCaprio, on their plantation called Candyland. You see, Leonardo DiCaprio loves, his passion is to have black people, N-word, fight each other to the death. It's this real sickening game that he likes to play. But he's a wealthy guy, he's a plantation owner, he has his N-words, and this is what he likes to do. And that's what is interesting about this film. You got a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio who's probably could be, I would say he might be my favorite actor, whether or not it's been Titanic or it's been any of the other films that he's done. I know some of you are thinking, Titanic, oh Chris, you're a softie. You know, he was damn good in Titanic. He was also damn good in movies like Aviator. He is just a fantastic actor. And he delivers a solid performance in this film. But what's interesting about it is you kind of leave the film not even remembering he was in it. Not even remembering that Samuel L. Jackson was in the film as well. And the beauty of this film, what's so interesting, what makes Quentin Tarantino a genius, that is he's able to use base level instincts, violence, blood, and gore, and deliver this spaghetti western to the mainstream buying sheeple, and they love it. Blood, guts, and violence. But the beauty of this is if you look at it deeper, if you see the underlying themes of this film, this is really a testament, and it's showing you, Quentin Tarantino is showing you through this movie just the brutality and the utter grotesque nature of bondage and slavery in general. And it's not just about the black man. It's not just about Jamie Foxx, as he said on Saturday Night Live, killing a bunch of white people.
Django Unchained, I play a slave. How black is that? And in the movie I have to wear chains. How whack is that? But don't be worried about it, because I get out the chains, I get free, I save my wife, and I kill all the white people in the movie.
It's not just about that, it's about bondage and slavery in general, and that's where this film is set 2 years before the eradication of slavery in the 1800s. The beauty of it is it shows you just honestly the cynical nature and how perverse and strange and uncharacteristic it really is in general, and how nothing's changed in society in hundreds if not thousands of years. We're still in bondage, we're still slaves. Maybe it's not a physical bondage, or we don't see the brutality that we used to see. We're whipping the backs of black slaves and having these people as servants in the cotton picking fields. Maybe it's not like that anymore, but we're still slaves under the bondage of debt and credit cards and mortgages, and it's all about control. It's all about servility. In fact, DiCaprio goes into a speech, it's one of his best in the film, where he talks about, and he shows the skull of a black person and dictates and shows 3 dimples, saying this is what makes a black person more servile than a white person. Now, obviously that's hogwash, obviously that's bullshit, but it goes into the psychology of what the white man at the time thought as an indication and a reason and a justification for oppressing black people in general. And it's not about black people. It's not about that, even though Quentin Tarantino is using it to portray this just atrocious period of human, in particular American history. It's about slavery in general, and it's obviously about justice. It's about honestly finding justice, and that's exactly what Jamie Foxx does as a bounty hunter, looking for vengeance, looking for justice, and in particular finding his wife that he's been separated from and sold at slave auction. But we finally get that, and the culmination and climax of the film just left me wanting more. And that's why I can only give this film a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a good film, but I can't say it's great. Sure, you definitely want to see this film. You can watch it multiple times. It's one of his best in the archive of Quentin Tarantino films, which just have such a familiar feel to it, whether or not it's Machete or Pulp Fiction or any of the others that he's put out. Whether or not it's just the directorial quality of the film, the feel of it, how he uses music, how he uses the subtitles. It's always Quentin Tarantino-esque, but that's where I was wanting more. It's someone that's such a brilliant artist, who I think is one of the best directors of our generation and time. I wish would take more risks. I would like to see him, love to see him do some kind of drama where he was stepping outside of the box of spaghetti westerns or Dusk Till Dawns, which is one of my other favorite films, behind one of my favorite films of Quentin Tarantino, behind Pulp Fiction goes Pulp Fiction, then Dusk Till Dawn. I wish he would take a more creative risk, because if you're a genius like Quentin Tarantino is, and I think at the very least there's genius qualities to him, you know what, if you don't try something new, if you don't take a risk, if you don't get outside the box, you're just dying as an artist. And you know what, I expect and hold Quentin Tarantino to a higher standard. So a lot of people will say this is great. A lot of them will say it's a 4.5, 5-star out of 5-star movie, but I'm saying it's a 4 out of 5. Go see it, you like it. If the blood and guts and gore doesn't get to you, and the N-word doesn't get to you, then go see this film. I think it's a fantastic piece of work, but it just goes to show you, and a particular point that I wanted to mention before closing out the show today, is that the fact that the N-word is dropped so many times in this film, it kind of mainlines itself back into pop culture and makes it okay. In fact, leaving the movie, I heard people outside of the movie theater saying and dropping the N-word rather loudly, and thinking, this can't be okay. So I can't help but think that maybe Spike Lee, in a certain regard, is correct when he says that this is doing a disservice to black people and equality, etc., etc. Although I think that's a little politically incorrect. The truth is that it would be historically inaccurate to do a film like this talking about the Civil War and the brutality and the grotesque nature of slavery without using the N-word, without dropping the N-word. But this isn't a film about slavery in particular, or black slavery, color slavery in particular. It's about slavery in regards to humanity, a very big picture, the oppression and the bondage that we're all in. And that's what makes Quentin Tarantino an absolute genius. That's what makes this an excellent film. Not a 5 out of 5 star, but a 4 out of 5, at least in my opinion. Go see it. I'm Christopher Green. You've been watching Green Wave TV, alternative media television, and I just deliver the Daily Wave. Hard-hitting and in your face. And if you like this review, please share it, get it out to Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to our channel, and get it out to the viewing public. Thanks. Peace.